Hello, Doug Walker here, and I am here to talk about episode 3, the Temple of what was it called? I got the list here. The Southern Air Temple. I don't know why the title always I'm like, what's it called again? What's it called again? So I booted it up just in case. Yeah, in this episode, the trio, they go to where Aang is from. It's this giant temple in the clouds. Beautiful design. Love the design of this place. They go there to try to see if the monks that trained him are still there, and the fire army has gotten to them, and we get a little bit more insight into his backstory, like he actually is reincarnated over and over and over, and every single time it does, it's into a different sort of element of a nation, or whatever, the water nation, or the air nation, and so on and so forth. So every time he dies, he'll come back as a different bender. And that's all fine and good, and that's really great. This episode seemed very much to belong to the Prince, though, who I just found out was voiced by Rufio. I know that's probably common knowledge to all of you, but how does he still have that voice? That's so impressive how he can still have that voice, because I swore it was like a teenager doing this, but I mean, he's a teenager when he did Hook, so it's very impressive. But anyway, so you get more into his backstory and the relation between him and the uncle, and also his interaction sort of with his people and this general he comes across, and why it's so important to him. Not just why it's so important, but how much time he has spent looking for this Avatar character, and if he can actually find this kid and bring him back and defeat him, he might not be an outcast anymore, and he might be brought back in, and he can finally regain his honor. The reason this character is becoming so fascinating is because it would be so easy, especially in a kid's show, a Nickelodeon show on top of that, to make this just the bad guy. You can give him a tragic backstory, but there's like little to few redeeming qualities about him, or he's just a badass or something like that. And this is a very identifiable villain. And a lot of that does come from the uncle, who's always by his side and always trying his best to support him, and keep a good sense of humor too. But this episode, more than the others, do you really feel not the vulnerability, because I think he got the vulnerability in the other ones, but that's just where you say, oh, poor tragic villain. We've seen that in Batman, a bunch of our kid shows too. That's nothing new. There is a lot of honor to this character that you discover by the end that probably comes from the uncle, but it's a good mix between being very honorable and very, you know, impatient and deceitful and angry and angsty, and it balances out very, very well. And at the end of this episode, he has a battle with this general. The general wants to go find the Avatar because he doesn't think the prince is capable. He already lost once. You know, in his age, he's a teenager, so he doesn't think he can do it. And he actually, they challenge each other, and I guess the winner can go find him. They challenge each other to this firebending competition. And it's a great fight, great animation. I realize this show has balance down very well. That's what I think I was trying to say in the last one, is that the balance in this show, when a character is trying to, you know, retrace his steps, or he's trying to, you know, stand upward, but stuff is being thrown at him, as is common in this show, you feel when they're off balance, you feel when they're trying to get back on their feet, and it's very, very well done. That's hard to get in animation. They do very, very well. And by the end of this, he defeats the general. The general says, you know, do it, kill me, and stuff like that. And he lets out the finishing blow, and for a split second, it got me. It then hit me. I'm like, wait, no, it's a kid show. They wouldn't do that. And sure enough, he just hits to the side of the head. But the character is good enough and complex enough that even for a split second, a kid show to fool me like that is impressive. And I hate using the term kid show, because I always say, oh, come on, we should treat them, you know, more adult, and we shouldn't talk down to kids and stuff. There is a difference between children's show and adult shows, but I think more often than not, we do try to talk down to kids a little too much. Not all the time. I think kids shows have actually made vast improvements over the years. But this one has a really good balance, and it's getting really good complex characters, not ones that we've seen a million times. It kind of seems like when Batman came along, everyone was just trying to do Batman, particularly with the characters. You know, the tragic villain, you feel sorry for him, but oh, they're still a bad guy, so whatever, they're in that category. And this one, you really feel the sympathy for this Prince character. And I like that the general at the end then tries to attack the prince and the uncle comes in to save him. And it's clear which of these is the more honorable, ethical character. And that's so strong because you're so used, particularly in Nickelodeon programming, to just hate the bad guy. Even if they're tragic, you just hate him, and that's it. You're almost kind of rooting for this guy. You see where he's coming from because he's identifiable. It's kind of like when you're watching the Roadrunner and Coyote. Yeah, you're rooting for the Roadrunner, but God, you feel so bad for the Coyote, you want to see him just get the damn thing. So and that's complex, and that's interesting, and I think it's wonderful that they're incorporating all of that. The one other thing I'll say about this episode before I sign off is that I'm really happy they address so much children's shows and literature is just children's media. Of course, a lot of them star kids, and I love the way they write these kids' characters. These are very well-written characters. The brother still gets a dumbbell line here and there, but they give him a lot of honor too, which I like. He definitely has his moments as well. They have the main character, the special character, the one that's gonna be, you know, the great hero, whatever, and everyone's just like, you know, the prophecy or whatever, though this one's a little different. This is sort of an established prophecy that's been going on for years and years, so it's not as much, hey, this is just a myth. It's like, no, this has been proven over and over that this has happened, so, but you have this special character, and everyone tells the kid, you're special, you're gonna be something great, you're gonna be something unbelievable, and it's always the wrong move to do that whenever they do that. Harry Potter, I want to smack all those idiots every time they say, you're gonna be the great one, you're the chosen one. Shut the fuck up, don't you know what you're doing to this kid? And I hate it when shows do that, and this show is doing the same thing. However, they address it. They address it in a flashback, one of the monks saying that it was a mistake to tell you this at this age. And they don't go into too much detail why they did, but the monk openly acknowledges we should not have done that. We should have waited until you were older. And just thank you for that. Not just for the children watching the show, but for the adults watching the show, because there's only so much pressure a kid can take, you know, or they can let it go to their head. And I think it's so smart that they actually address, look, we know we have to sort of do this, like, you know, everyone can be special given the chance, you know, and that's just sort of, you know, a routine story. But at the same time, they're addressing that it was not the right thing to do. And that helps because the kid does not want to be the Avatar. He does not want to be the savior of all this. You know, he does not want the responsibility. And again, that's part of the problem with it. And they address it. So not only does that create the drama, but it shows where it came from. And they show it was not the right thing to do. And I'm really happy about that. I'm really happy that it's addressing that because it drives me nuts. You know, same thing in Narnia, or, you know, same thing in Harry Potter, same thing in Secret Men 2. I hate that. And I'm so glad that even though they are technically doing it, they're acknowledging it was a mistake. So, again, definitely some very, some fun stuff they're playing around with, and the episodes just seem to be getting stronger and stronger, and they're sucking you in more and more. So, and the strength of it seems to be the relationships off the characters, and that's, I'm a character guy, so I love that, but there's also a good story going as well with a good mystery and a good world, and I don't, you know, they call this thing a lemur, that little gizmo thing. I don't know why they don't just, like, make up names for these things. Yeah, that's a penguin. That is clearly not a penguin. It sort of looks like a penguin, but it has an otter and four arms. That's really strange. So, that's nitpicking. I'm really enjoying this world. I'm enjoying these designs, but most of all, I'm enjoying the interaction of these characters. So I'm having a ball with this show, and I can't wait to see episode 4. And I will see you there.